A warm welcome to all of you on day 4th of CSS Beginners to Advanced series. And one second. So, a warm welcome to all of you. Today is the day 4th of CSS Beginners to Advanced series, and today we will be starting with CSS Grid. CSS Grid today and tomorrow also. And in case if we get some time, we will be able to. And but let me tell you one thing. Am I audible? Please, someone. So welcome back all of you. And today we will be doing with CSS Grid. And can someone confirm me? Will you be able to hear me properly? My audio and video are okay or not? Please confirm me. So let us start with CSS Grid now. And one second. So warm welcome to all of you, and today we will be covering CSS Grid and CSS Grid, and tomorrow also CSS Grid. And in case we will get some time, we will have a small project tomorrow, in which we will be preparing a small site with the help of CSS. What so far we have learned. So that's it for the update. Yes, we have completed CSS Basics and CSS Flexbox. Today we will be doing with CSS Grid, and tomorrow also we will be doing with CSS Grid. So let me tell you one thing. Uh, can someone tell me that am I audible properly or not? In case any issue, please let me know. Am I audible now? Please confirm. Let me type. So because in the first class the sound is not coming, so that's why. But and I have started. So let me ask from someone in case I am audible properly or not. Then after I will start. And also today we will be doing the live server with the Firefox Developer Edition, because CSS Grid you can actually learn properly with Firefox Developer Edition only, because the grids you will only be able to view in Firefox Developer Edition. None other browser does not support this grid. So one second. Yeah, thanks Manisha Rani. So let us start now with CSS Grid. Now I got a confirmation from one of the candidate that I am audible properly. And let me tell you one thing: the system will share the attendance sheet for the participation certificate uh, as per their comfort, because it's a system driven process. We will not be sending it manually. System will automatically send the attendance sheet, so please fill it, submit it, so that you will be able to get a chance, you will be able to get the participation certificate on the mail id which you have entered here. So let us start now with CSS Grid. Now I will not be able to view the chat box, so after some time we will view it and answer the queries in case anyone have. So what is CSS Grid? As you all know, CSS Flexbox, what we have completed yesterday, is actually a one-sided platform which works only in one side. So in order to overcome with the concept of one-sided, CSS Grid has been introduced, which works in both the directions. So uh, this grid has been introduced in 2015 by the W3 Schools Committee, and a major upgradation has been happened in that year only in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So for this, and also one thing in, if you want to come out of the bootstrap trap, which in some time will not be able to use so much, so you have to master CSS Grid and Flexbox, which is an awesome system which can be used to develop the whole of the website. So I request you all to please master this CSS and CSS Flexbox, CSS Grid, CSS Basics. This will help you a lot. So generally, a combination of CSS Flexbox and Grid has been used in order to create any of the website, or you can say any of the project. And CSS Grid can divide the whole of the page into column and rows. So CSS Grid define CSS Grid divides whole of the web page or whole of the page into columns and rows, like what you see in your Excel sheet. And there are many ways in which you can place the elements. So we will learn about all these ways, how you will be placing the elements. So this is how we will be learning in CSS. So let us start now. So before this, let me able to create 1 second. Let me create a basic HTML structure, and in this, CSS Grid K1 save date, and so let me open it. And today we will be opening the live server in the Firefox Developer Edition, because for Grid to understand, Firefox Developer Edition is a must. So say, and here, fine, perfect. So now we will do a basic scaling. So here dot will have, but before this, 1 second. One second, let me remove the errors first. So let me brief you what I have done. so quickly. So in this index, we have a basic parent container and a children container. Parent class and children classes are there, in which we have 1 to 10 items and nothing special in it. And we have linked it. And here, root colors we have given yellow and black. And in the HTML, we have given box size and there's matlab, in case if you can see this code, there is nothing to even explain if you have attended all the 4 classes. So the color we have variable black, text shadow is there, and before and after function we have used. In the body we have a background image, and margin is there for all the header tags. We have margins set and like this only. So now we will be basically doing the CSS gridding part here, and in this we will use the display as grid and saved it, but nothing will happen. Why nothing will happen? Because in grid, as I have told you, grid works in both the levels, that is row level and column level. So for this we have to declare both the column and rows in order to grid to function. So we have the grid template column. Let us declare 200 p x and 500 p x. So saved it. As you all can see, 200 px and 500 px, we have declared 2 columns. So, and with the same function with grid, as you all can see, 2 columns has been created, one of 200 px and another of 500 px. So let me open this with inspect function. And 1 second. uh, 1 second. So here, let me select this. Okay, fine. So let me tell you one thing. Grid is very responsive, means very responsive, and it automatically adjusted themselves depending upon the size of the screen. So let me once again open the inspect function and click on it. So now you can see the grids specifically and clearly. We'll explain you what are this in some couple of seconds, after some couple of seconds. So we have created 2 columns. Now let us create rows also, grid template rows. I'm using the shortcuts because I don't write all the complete code. So you also need to use the shortcuts. You can type GTR for grid template rows, 200 px, 100 px, and 200 p. So I used. So for the 10 items, we have created 2 column and 3 rows. So that means six. These six, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For these 6 items, we have created rows and columns. So we have asked the grid to please fix all these 6 items. But what about for the rest of the 4 items, that is 7, 8, 9, and 10? So for this, 1 second. So for this, as I have told you, grid is very responsive. So they have automatically created rows and columns depending upon the size of the items or the size of the content, which is 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is how, or this is what I can say the responsiveness of the grid. So now let's have another column of grid gap of 20 px. So grid gap 20 px is little bit more. So let's say to 10 px. So as you all can see, grid gap means these gaps. We have created some grid gaps of 10 px in order to separate all the items and look the things more nice. So this is how you can create a grid gap functionality. This we have again in column also. We have column gap also of 10. We will use the 2px. So see, this is the column gap. This one, this is the grid gap. Fine. So this is how you can use these functionalities like that. So now let us use another thing. One second, one second. So now moving on to the next topic, which is called as the implicit tracks and explicit tracks. So implicit tracks and explicit tracks, these are two type of tracks. One second, let me show you how you can see it. So if you can see dashes and dots. So you can see dots and you can see dash here. So these dash are called explicit tracks, and these are created as we have inserted grid template rows and grid template columns. So that's why these are created, because if we declare grid template rows and grid template columns, these explicit tracks will be created, which can be viewed with the help of dash, and implicit tracks are being identified by dots, which is here in 7, 8, 9, and 10, which are being created by the grid system. So this is how you can define implicit and explicit tracks. So now these implicit tracks by default takes the height of the element inside it. As in this case we have 7, 8, 9, and 10, we can change that height by a property known as grid auto rows, which is the size of all the implicit rows. So let's add grid auto row. You can use GAR property of 150 px. Saved it. So now we have created, or I can say we have allotted a space of 150 px for the items 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is how the leftover space to the items, we have given the space. So now moving on to the next topic in CSS Grid, which is called as the auto flow property. This is what as one second. Let me change my index in order to make you understand what is this property. So let me comment out the things, save it, and control Z. So currently we have only two items in our index.html, and one second, display grid template column is this. So we don't want this one and grid auto this one. So saving it. So now what we did now, so no now, as in case if you all have understood this, let me remove it. So now, as you all can see, we have only two columns and two items. So by default, if any column or if any item we will insert, it will come. So by default, if we create any of the new item, as it's a natural property, it will go below item number one. But if we want the next item, the new item which we will create comes by the side of item number two, for this we have a property called as grid auto flow property, and in this we have to declare the location or the portion where the next item has to be. So grid auto flow column, saved it. Now as soon as I saved it, this the third item will create here in the, by default, if I comment out this thing, it uses the space below item number one, and now it uses a space control Z, control Z, control S by the side of item number two. This is the usage of grid auto flow property. In case you can decide, in case you can design, in case you can actually create a path for the next item to place in the grid system. So now moving on to the next property, in which we will be looking the sizing of tracks in CSS grid. So now let me so have let me add control C 11, 12, 14, 15 and 16. So I have created here 16 items. Item with the common class. So now let us go to the sizing of tracks. So here, let me remove it first. We will take only the grid gap of 5p saved it. So now, as you all can see, this is a basic structure, as we have not defined any of the rows and columns. We have only defined the grid gaps. So now let's use the percentage to create the column first. By using the percentage, we will use the grid template column, and using the percentage, we will use this time 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25%. So as you all can see, four columns has been created here, as we have created the column with the percentage sign. Perfect. So as you can see here, one second, let's change the grid gap to 20 px. Saved it. So now, as you all can see, the item number 4, 8, 12, and 16 have actually been inserted into the last of the web page. Why? Because additional 20 px we have created for the space in the grid caps. So this is how the mess up is going on. So now there is a new property in which you can allot the space of the web page using this fr property, which is the free space left over the explicit bit are laid out. To understand this, let's have the basic css, and we are also using a border to get the space taken by the grid. So we have the explicit width of 200 px and 150 px respectively. So let me change to 200 p 200 p x and 150 p x, ending it and save. So now, and also we'll have a border of 2p x solid in is your, well, let okay, fine. So now let us use this fr property, and we'll use the one fr and create another column. So what this fr has done now? So as you all can see, we have created a box, and inside this box we have created two columns, and the leftover space has been used by the third column which we have created. This is how this fr works. So in case if we want one another column, so the leftover space has been used by this one another one fr. So in case if you want two fr, so twice of the leftover space has been used by the last column, and before it by the first column. So if you change it, we'll have two and have one. So I saved it. So this is how the fr functionality will work, and actually will divide the leftover space among themselves using this fr property. So now let us add a auto functionality here. Let me use it. Auto. Saved it. So what has happened now? So first column is of auto, second column is of 2fr, and third column is of 1fr. So auto means depending upon the size of the content, automatically the space has been allotted to themselves. So let me change it to 2. Saved it. Okay, okay. Sorry. Let me change this in 1. And let me change it in 16. So this is how the responsiveness of the grid will work. So now there is a one more functionality which is being used to make this grid and auto function more powerful, which is called as a repeat functionality. In case something you want to repeat, or in case something you want to repeat for two times, so we will be using this repeat functionality here. So let us add repeat So here we will have one minute. Let me use some space here. So we will have auto repeat two times of one FR. So here, what you came to know with this line. So we have grid template of columns. Auto, first column is of auto, and second and third column we have created using the repeat functionality, which is of 1 FR. In case I would like to say 2 FR, so you can see twice. And in case I would like to see two times of 5 FR, let us say, okay. So this is how this functionality will work. And in case you want another functionality of auto and 1 FR, so this is how it works. So first column is of auto, second of two times of 2 FR, third one, fourth one is again of auto, and last one is of 1 FR. So this is how, using the auto and repeat functionality, you can create columns. You don't not even have to create specific sizes of the columns. So this is how you can actually make your web page. So in case you want to see the responsiveness, see, this is how the page are responsive. So this is a very important property of CSS Grid, in which you can actually make your page responsiveness. You can actually, using the functionality of auto and repeat, you can design your web page. So now uh, let's increase the item size now for the next new functionality to understand. So here we will use the repeat functionality of 5 times of 1 FR, and this auto and 1 FR is not required. Fine, perfect. So now let us target one item number 9, so that you will be able to easily identify what we will be going to do now. So see the item number 9, we have changed the background color to misty rose with width of 500 px. So I hope, so I request you all to please fill the attendance, as system has actually shared attendance form. So please fill the attendance sheet to get the participation certificate. It's a very simple Google form. Your only attendance sheet will be available here only and nowhere else. So, and let me actually share you one of the WhatsApp link, one of the WhatsApp group link, so that in case anyone wants to join the group for the further updates, he can join very well. So okay, so as you all can see, we have actually changed the background color of item number 9, and also we have changed the width. So as you all can see, if we have increased the width of one item, the rest of the column is get suffered. So in case if you want this not to happen, there is a specific property which is called as the span property, in which you can actually add uh, grid column span of 2, but we don't want this, so we need to. So what has happened here? We have actually used the space of two items without affecting the rest of the items and rows and columns. So this is how the span property will work here. Fine. Similarly, you can use this span property in row also. So let's target, or let's have the grid row and use the span of 3. So you can see 3 rows and 2 columns has been merged to get the desired output. So this is how span function will work. So now, in case if you want some span to start from, we will have, let us comment it out, and we will have grid column start from 2. We have grid column until 5. So this is how the functionality will work. Fine. So in case if you want to give this command in a single line, you have grid column 2/6, saved it. So starting from 2 till the end of 6, the span will happen. Fine. So this is how you will be able to span the things. And in case you want in the row, you can use it grid row. We use from 2 to 3. See. Fine. So this is how this functionality will work. So that's it for today. I hope you all have liked it. So see you tomorrow, and we will cover the CSS grid tomorrow. And if some time is there, we will do the project also. So thanks a lot. See you tomorrow again at 2:45 p.m.